the special on Fox or other news networks, there were two things that were covered today. One of them was a significant on the text conversation between the roommate or lover, whatever you would like to call this, authorities. They have a dialogue back and forth between the two, very much indicating guilt. If I'm obviously not a lawyer or a judge, so I can say what I want. But if you read the dialogue with the back and forth that they actually went through the manuscript of that conversation, it is considerably condemning for the person who admitted that they wanted the conversation deleted, that they hid the rifle, that they were going to try to return back for it, that they committed the crime. All of these things have been kind of caught in text documentation between the assassin, or the potential assassin, we'll say. Like he's not indicted yet, but they did in fact formally charge him. That's the next thing. And so they had him in the courtroom today, and that's what that screenshot picture is. That was him as he was live sitting there. I'm not sure why they're doing a remote court sentencing, and while they're, or at least calling out the charges for him. I'm not sure why they are doing it that way. I know they're saying to keep him protected and safe from others and himself, but very strange, because it's not like it's COVID anymore. So they ran through all of the charges and what they think, what might stick. And it was odd seeing him just sit there and listening to this like it was kind of sports commentary. Very strange. But he said that's also on September 29th will be the next court date. So questions, comments on what we've discussed so far. It's what's crazy to me is all the news that's kind of been wrapped around all this stuff, and all the different people that are like having comments or talking about freedom of speech, and people are there. There's been people that have praised this activity, and of course, we Americans and frankly Christians in general, but no one should be praising any kind of murder or assassination. And so I'm sad today because I've actually talked in person to some people, and some of them have the opinion, privately, like offline, but saying that they just think that the quote unquote was that they're not sad when bad people die. And so I was kind of just like, because that tells me that we're dealing with people that don't have limit. That's, to me, absolutely terrible. To even the person that did this crime, we should feel bad for them. We should feel sorry for his parents. We should feel sorry for him. I mean, he's clearly a lost individual, and nobody was without hope. Even though he may never see the light of day again, that doesn't mean his soul is forever gone. I know forgiveness is a hard thing for a lot of people, but as people that have faith in Jesus, it's a requirement. We're actually told to forgive others. That's Jesus tells us to. And then Jesus did one step further, and he actually forgave others that were crucifying him, and forgives us of our own sins that put him there. So that said, forgiveness is critical for all of the people that have faith. But today, we're just talking about all of the activities that have gone on right now. What are your thoughts? What do you guys think about, how hard is it for you to forgive? Are you able to do so? Are you just really angry that, some people are like, I want to seek the death penalty. And of course, that's justice. And so I'm not saying one is better than the other, or what's right and wrong in a court setting. That's for, laws and everything else to determine. I know if you take a life, then you're very likely going to be the person that, your life should be taken, and according to like the Bible. That does happen, and then there's other countries that have that same rule, and then we have states here that will rather you just sit there and rot in jail for the rest of your life. I'm not going to tell you what's right in that situation, because again, that's for other people to decide. But in terms of what we've seen today, they are pursuing the death penalty. The question really is, can they do federal charges? Because I don't necessarily know if they can, because there is nothing really federal about it. Federal law steps in when there's if there's federal property or a reason for the feds to actually get involved, but they can't just prosecute and pull things into federal court because they want to. That's not how law works. So this is a Utah problem, and Utah State is going to obviously preside over this. So we'll see what this turns out to be. But I'm curious. This may be one of the most significant trials since like O.J. Simpson's kind of trial. That one was a big one when I was a kid, but this one is huge. It has a lot of implications as to what, because there's going to be a lot of things that are discussed. But there's a lot of people that I've heard that lost their jobs because they posted hateful things online or said negative things about Charlie Kirk, in a sense that, bad stuff about him because of this situation. And so what do you guys think about that? I think that you shouldn't just say anything you want online because you feel like it's freedom of speech. You can't incite violence. You're not allowed to say terroristic things that I don't know. You can't just hate speech is obviously considered hate speech. And so there's got to be some level of like what we can and can't say. You can't be in a movie theater and yell out fire. That's against the law. That you could say, well, freedom of speech. Well, not really. You're inciting against danger to the public. So what we do know is that now we have people that are there's a continuation agreement that our government right now is trying to get funding for the next continuation of bills and whatnot. And so the thing they're putting before the office is they're actually asking for millions of dollars now in more support to keep them safe, because political figures on both sides of the aisle are agreeing that they are afraid for their safety in their lives, because if this guy can take a shot out at somebody, then they're thinking anybody could. So now we have a situation where our whole dynamic may change with in terms of like people speaking in public and what that's going to look like. So really kind of a paradigm shift for the America that we all grew up in, where what if is the president going to kind of avoid going around and shaking hands with people because they don't get hurt? Is that how this is going to be in the future? We don't know, but that's what's going on like right now. And so I think it's very strange that we're in such a time frame where people actually would think it's good for a person who has a difference of opinion to be killed, and they think that's okay. That's terrifying to think that is the same public that's out, with our friends and our kids and everybody else that's at the gym or at church or something. I mean, that's not the world I grew up in. That's just not how it should be. We should care about other people. We should, even if they are making mistakes and bad choices, we should hope for the best for them, but we certainly shouldn't hate, and we certainly shouldn't wish for them to be dead. That's actually, when I was a kid, they told us the definition of hate is wishing someone was dead. And so that is what people are wishing for. They're saying that they are glad that this happened to silence someone, and I'm like, that is the most disturbing thing I've heard from somebody say. I mean, this is real life. This isn't a video game. Someone now has no dad. Someone has no husband. This guy was a huge. And me, I found Charlie Kirk's speech, the way he talked, to be very direct, and he was very pointed at people and getting his point across. I don't think that you have time to sit there and have a 10-minute discussion with somebody when there's 50 people in line trying to talk to you. So he's kind of has to hit every single one very quickly and answer the questions. But I mean, if I was in his shoes, if I was to be following what he did, of course I would fear for my life now too, because I'd be worried that someone might take a shot at me because they don't like what I have to say. Now, I think that he wasn't trying to be a tactful person. He was just trying to speak with integrity and honesty of what he believed was right. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He didn't. But I've heard people say that he was a racist, and I've listened to things that he said. And while one could consider someone being insensitive, I certainly don't see it as being racist. But you got to decide that. I wonder what does racist look like to you? What do you think that means? So what do we call racism? I think racism is making one race sound better or different than another in a sense that's negative. I mean, I guess it would probably be racist if you said they were better than you too. That'd probably be true. But I guess I grew up in an area where most everybody was Hispanic. Most everybody in my high school was Hispanic. So racism to me was, I remember being hated because the kids at school didn't like me because I wasn't Hispanic, and I got picked on and all kinds of stuff because that was what culture would say where I was from, is that I was wrong. I shouldn't have been there. And so they harassed me and some of my other friends that were white, because there was not a lot of us, but we got picked on all the time. And so I just accepted that as that's how life went. But were they being racist? I'm not gonna put that label on them. They just mistreated me because they were just being dumb kids. I don't think it was, even if it was rooted in because I was white or not, I don't care. Like, that doesn't have any, I'm just not going to make it to that. But know that everybody has experienced some form of like hate or being mistreated or whatever. And so we've got to make sure that we aren't reciprocating that kind of stuff and hating on other people, but instead we're supposed to be kind and love them. That's what Jesus said. That's what this channel is all about. So guys, as you go throughout your day, do me a favor and take the high road. Follow what you're supposed to do and choose a path of love. Choose a path that Christ would walk. Try to follow in his footsteps, and know that you are not perfect, and neither am I. We are screwed up individuals, and we have thoughts where we're like, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. But please always be kind and respect others, and respect other races, respect other genders. Even if someone has a disagreement, know that there's still a person that God truly cares for, and so therefore you should truly care for as well. So guys, I leave you with just please be kind to one another and read scripture and try to follow what he says. And so with that, guys, I'll leave you with have a great day, and I'll see you next time.